Hello, hello. Welcome along to another FanTeam Golf DFS show. I'm joined as ever by Mr. Old Spice himself there. Mark, how are you doing?
Very good, thank you.
Good. And Mr. Nick of Wigan, how are you doing? So you're looking fresh with that haircut there.
Thank you very much. Yeah, sharp fades only. I'm just laughing to myself. Then I was expecting more of a rise out of Mark. Then I think that's the first week he's not bitten on that. I'm very impressed, Mark, at the restraint shown there.
Well,
I'm
I think
seething here. I'm absolutely seething.
I reckon so. Most of our listeners, after your Austin Smotherman talk last week, Mark, I'm just going to get it out there early. I think that you owe our listeners a apology after his 6 over par performance and missing the cut.
They're all adults, all 18 years and older. They can all make their own decisions. It's and also, as I've said to you before the show, I'm doubling down, Jack.
You are.
It's another smother week.
You like pain.
I turn up here every week, getting sorted by you.
So, boys, how did we do last week? Mark, I'll start with you. How did your 80% Austin Smotherman ownership go?
Yeah, funny enough, those 80% of lineups didn't do too well. The actual model last week was absolutely awful. It performed awfully. But in the last sort of half an hour before the slate locked, I saw there seemed to be some overlay, what I thought was going to be overlay. So I put in a couple of extra lines, made a lineup which was based around roster construction. So I picked one with Vegas and Thigala because they're the two most expensive players. Didn't think many people would play a lineup like that. And came top 10 in both the main and the mini. And so, yeah, that was not much skill involved other than trying to create a slightly different roster construction. Yeah, and then I had really good. I won the day 4 showdown slate, which is fantastic, and got me to 4th on the leaderboard in the showdown competition for some Masters tickets. So yeah, pretty good all in all.
Nice, Nick. How did your week fare?
Yeah, I said on Twitter that it was modest, and I think that's probably the best descriptor I could come up with for last week. It wasn't my worst week. I think the week before was probably the worst week. It was just like I cashed. It was profit. It was somewhere I was somewhere up around £40 to £50 on the week, I would say. So I'll take that and move on.
Well, do you know how much I won last week?
No, don't actually. You didn't say anything.
Absolutely zero. But do you know how much I put down?
Zero.
Absolutely zero because you lost your bank card.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I lost my bank card, which may have been a blessing in disguise actually, because I would have probably gone heavy on Joel Damon. I'm a bit of I play DFS probably a lot different to how Mark plays it. For example, I know I do anyway. I have a very very small player pool, and I go heavy. I go hard or go home. Basically, it's if you win massive, but if you lose, you lose massive as well. So I would have had a lot of Joel Damon last week, and then we got that withdrawal just at the start of round 2, wasn't it? We saw that, and I was annoyed because I had him in. I'd captained him in every one of my season-long teams, so it annoyed me. But
yeah,
it was one of the things, and we move on. But speaking of the season-long team, we went up about 200 spaces. So I think the wild card was the correct decision, even though we had Joel Damon as captain.
I actually wildcarded all of my teams and had them pretty much equivalent to the pod team, actually. I think the only difference I had was I think I had Bill Haas in my team rather than Graham McDowell. And I was the same, Jack. I had Joel Damon captain in every team. So in theory, it should have hurt. But it didn't hurt that much because, like you said, the pod team rose. My best lineup rose about 200 spaces into the cash, and it's now in the top 100. So overall, a good week, and I think what we used the wildcard for, it did serve its purpose because it was quite a high scoring event. We managed to move the pod team up. It's still off the pace, but we've now got a team that's set out to be able to field a team of 6 this week, bank a transfer, and really attack the Masters next week.
Yeah, I think I had a similar thing to you. My teams went up. Some based on where they were in the original standings. A couple of them went up by like 300. One went up 150. And I only got 3 players get through the cut as well, even though I had 6 playing. So at the moment, it looks like it was the right decision, not because of the results, as much as anything, because so few people did use their wild cards, I think. And at the moment, it looks like it was the best time to do it. We might find in 5, 6, 7 weeks' time we regret it. I don't know. But yeah, like you say, Nick, we're set up now for the next few weeks, which is great. Thanks to your tracker, Jack.
We are set up because of the tracker. So yeah. I will pull up the tracker now so everyone can see it if you've not seen it before. Basically, just head over to the FanTeam blog and search tracker, and it will be the first thing that you come across. So it's pretty self-explanatory. So green is obviously confirmed in the field. Orange there is a reserve for the field. So I think there's still a couple in the Valero because I believe we've had 8 pullouts. So there you go. You've got one there. I'm not even going to try and pronounce that name there because I will butcher it, and I'm well known for butchering names on this podcast. So I won't. Kira Dick. Yeah, there we go. That's it. That's
Happy
what you get.
Happy Barnrat. Yeah,
that's Happy Barnrat. It's literally as it looks.
So he is a reserve. So that's what that orange means. The red, because you don't get a lot of this data until really late on a Friday night at the minute. The week before. So the red sort of shows you if they played the event in 2020 or 2021. Blue is just unlikely to play the alternate event, and then yellow is invited to play. So you will see down here on the PGA Championship, all of these players here in yellow have been invited to play at this year's PGA, or they're basically in the field at the minute. Obviously, they're not committed, so we won't put them green as yet. But we have got a bit of data now where we've got these next sort of 3 to 4 weeks here where we've got a lot of data on players that are playing at these events. And I think the standout one is Abraham Answer, who I was sure he was going to put out this week after playing the WGC match play last week and going as far as he did. But I've worked it out. If he plays all of the events up to the Mexico Open, he would have played 6 weeks of golf straight.
And he played a lot of rounds, didn't he, in the match play as well?
Yeah, he did. I can see a pullout coming at some point. But at the minute, you've got confirmed data that he's in. Well, he's in now all the way up to the Mexico Open. So I can see his ownership getting a big boost off of this.
Yeah. I think it'll be the Heritage if he's going to drop out. I don't think he drops out this week because he's trying to find form and stuff. So I think it'd be the Heritage if anything.
Nick?
Yeah, no, I'd agree. I don't think he'll pull out this week, just with it being on the brink of the Masters. I think he'll use this as a week to build on what he did at the match play. Yeah, I could see it being the Heritage. Or maybe he plays that and then has a couple of weeks off, because then he'd have another week to prepare before the PGA as well. So maybe that's what he does. So I don't know. We'll see. But like you said, Jack, it's good that we've got that tracker, because you've got the opportunity now to plan weeks in advance by using that. And there's been quite a few people that have asked us on social media, what transfer would you make? Who would you swap? And your best tool in that scenario is, by all means, you message us. The opinion that we give is likely going to be the opinion of the tracker, because we're just looking at exactly that same data as well.
Yeah, and it's free.
Yeah.
So all you do is head to the FanTeam blog, search tracker. It's there. It's the first thing that you'll come across. It's free. There's even confirmed, like we got people confirmed in fields for like the Wells Fargo, which is about 6-7 weeks away now. So there's not a lot of data there. I think there's like 3 or 4 players in each of them events. But we had Scotty Scheffler commit to the Canadian Open this year. That's like 5 weeks down the line, I think, something like that. So we're getting more data to use now, and I think it's going to be easier to plan this season long for the rest of it.
Yeah, it's been a funny start, hasn't it, as well, in terms of the tournaments as well, and the way they've gone and stuff, and that Players
definitely.
Week just ruined so much.
It did, yeah. It was a horrible tournament. We don't talk about the Players Tournament. Let's take a look at the pod team then, and I'm just getting it up now. If it works, is it coming? Yep, there we go. We've got it. So, as we mentioned, we were about 800. I think we were about 850th last week, so we've moved up just over 200 spots. But we planned using that tracker, didn't we? So we've actually got most of our guys in this week. So we got 7 guys that we can use this week if we want to, and roll the transfer, which I'm presuming, gentlemen, that's what we want to do, is roll the transfer.
Yeah, I'm happy to roll the transfer this week. We've obviously got the decision of who sits out because we've got 7 that are confirmed as things stand, barring any withdrawals. So it's who we miss out and who we captain.
I can tell you who's missing out. This guy right here.
No, I think someone might have something to say about that, Mark.
No, you can drop him now. You'll drop him and he'll win.
No. I'm not saying we dropped him.
No, I know what you mean. You put on bench. By the way, Jack, this goes out audio version as well. You're talking about Smotherman for the people who are listening on the pod.
Sorry, yes, this does go out an audio version. So the people, I'm talking about Mark's love of Austin Smotherman, and I'm not having it this week. You had your chance, Mark, and you blew it. So
I blew it. I had my chance and I blew it.
No, Austin blew it for you. Okay, so let's do the updates.
I told you, Jack. His mum watches this show. You got to be careful.
I actually want to keep Ryan Armour in. He's scheduled to play a few events down the line. Hudson Swafford, he made the cut last week. He is scheduled to play the Masters somehow. I don't know. I think it's because he won the PGA Tour event earlier in the year, so he is scheduled to play that. But I definitely want to be bringing those 3 guys off the bench this week in McIlroy, Spieth, and Corey Connors.
Yeah, definitely.
Johnny Vegas played well last week, didn't he?
Yes, he did. So for me, I mean, he's got to start this week. McIlroy, Connors, Spieth, I think, are automatic locks. It's then just the battle for the final 2 places for me is between it's 2 of Smotherman, Swafford, and McDowell if we're going to roll the transfer. And I think I'm inclined to say bench McDowell personally, but I don't know how you both feel about that.
What, and you want to play Smotherman instead?
I do want to play Smothermark this week. Yeah, I do.
But I'm outvoted, aren't I? So
I haven't voted yet.
I don't know what I've done to this, by the way. This is how tired I am tonight. I'm not even going to try and update it here, but
we made 200 places of progress, and then Jack just decided to blow it up and just completely just destroy the team.
He's played 6 Smothermans.
Yeah, for anyone that's listening back on audio, Jack has basically deleted members of the team and is now just aimlessly clicking around the screen, trying to figure out a way to get them back.
He's basically trying to do 3. He's trying to do 3 transfers rather than just the bench. Jack, we'll talk to you off air about how you do that.
Yeah, I know what I've done. I'm just
You've
very
done transfers rather than swaps.
Yes, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I haven't confirmed anything yet, so it doesn't matter. Keep it up, Mark, and I will confirm. Keep it up, and I will confirm. I will confirm it, and I'll make sure Austin Smotherman never comes back into this lineup again.
Already hurt yourself.
So, Mark, you have it's a no from me for Smotherman. Nick seems to have forgiven him very quickly, but Nick likes Luke List on a weekly basis. So, so Mark. you get the deciding vote.
Who's the choice between it? Who's it between him
or McDowell, isn't it? I suppose.
McDowell. Let me just check.
Or do you want to play Swafford? Or do you, him? I want to keep Vegas in the team. He played well last week.
Vegas
so,
definitely. I think we can all agree on that.
So we're going to keep Vegas in the team. We're going to put Rory, Jordan Spieth, Corey Connors in, and then you get 2 of Graham McDowell, Hudson Swafford, or your love child, Austin Smotherman.
Well, according to me, my rankings, we'd be keeping Smotherman and Graham McDowell, which doesn't really help.
Whoa.
Swafford would be gone in mine. This is like that bit in is it Pulp Fiction? No, Reservoir Dogs. So they're all pointing guns at each other at the end.
Did you not see McDowell last week with his bad back as well? Actually, to be fair,
yeah.
I don't know.
If there's an injury doubt, then just get rid of McDowell.
Yeah, but I don't want to play Swafford on these greens either that we've got this week, which we'll get into shortly.
The only reason I went Smotherman and Swafford over McDowell is in my model this week. They both grade higher than him, but it's a pod team. It is a democracy. And if it was down to me, I would just put Camilo Villegas in and do the transfer. But it isn't down to me. So,
well, all right. Smotherman's going in by all accounts. I've lost that one. And we've got 1 each on McDowell and Swafford. Team no part. Give us Swafford. So we're going to put Swafford in as well. So
I think
yes.
I think, like you said, if there's any doubt about an injury and stuff, you have to drop that player.
So we're not dropping him. We're just going to bench him.
Yeah, we're benching him. But yeah, we're
and
it's a slightly different way of thinking to normal for us.
It is worth noting that we've got Scotty Scheffler on this bench, and we can use him at the Masters.
Yeah, and suddenly the team starts looking quite strong then, with 2 transfers in hand as well.
Exactly. That's it for the pod team, the season-long team this week. We'll take another look and see what happens. I'm sure Austin Smotherman's going to destroy us again. So
I see we're captaining him.
No. Moving on. FanTeam have teamed up with Fantasy National Golf Club. It is the stat provider, the leading stat provider for golf in the world. It's what we all use on this podcast to bring you all the content that we create. You can sign up now at fantasynationalgolfclub.com/FanTeam, and you will get 20% off any of their packages. It is scrolling along down the bottom there, as Nick has pointed out. It's a great product. We all use it, like we say, and it helps us build and win on a regular basis. Gentlemen, the Valero Texas Open. We are here. So we're on a week away from Augusta National and the Masters. We head to TPC San Antonio. It is a par 72. It is 7,435 yards long. The greens here have been Bermuda grass greens with POA overseed. It's a Pete Dye and Greg Norman design. The hardest hole here is the 4th hole, which is a par 4. It's 481 yards long. Gives up about 26.1% of bogeys. Only 9% of birdies on that hole. So it's a tough hole. The easiest hole is the 14th, which is a par 5. It's 567 yards long. It gives up about 41.7% of birdies and only 7.1% of bogeys on that hole. It's worth noting that this course has got huge fairway bunkers. It's got a tiered green system as well. It's a tree line golf course as well, so the fairways can be tight on certain holes. We've got 4 par 5s here, and Nick, you were mentioning to me earlier that these 4 par 5s are in the stroke index that rank 18th, 14th, 16th, and 13th. So they're in the top 9 easiest holes on the course. So you need to be making birdies on them holes this week. Hole 16 is probably the most famous hole on the course. It's a par 3. It features a bunker smack bang in the middle of the green. Be interesting to see what they do with the pin positions over the weekend to make that come into play a little bit more. I suspect that the pin position will be moved to the back on Sunday to make that a little bit harder and come into play. But gentlemen, what stats are you looking at for this course this week? Or are you just going to build an all Texans team? Because we all know that golfers from Texas seem to play well in Texas every year.
For me, it's a second shot course. This approach is very important again. I've also gone a little bit deeper on that and done approach from like 75 to 125 yards as well. Some par 4, par 5 scoring, a little bit of putting, a little bit more detail than normal, and also, as ever, fantasy points gained.
Yeah, for me, like Max just said, strokes gained approach, strokes gained around the green as well, and linking into that a little bit, I've thrown in sand saves this week because of some of the bunkers that we've got here. Strokes gained par 5s, because the par 5s are so forgiving at this course. Really, that's where you're going to find a bulk of your scoring. So par 5, strokes gained and birdies or better, both factoring in on my model this week. And because like you said, Jack, with the fairways, because they are tree lined, though it is a long course in parts, certainly not the longest, but there are some long holes on here, some long par 4s as well. I think more looking at sort of like good drives rather than driving distance itself. So people that are quite accurate off the tee or gain opportunities from the driving. So that's something that I'll be factoring in this week as well. Not linked to what we do, because once we pick a team, you're locked in them for the full 4 days. But maybe just something to bear in mind for anyone that is betting out there on the sportsbook side of things. And this isn't my stat, I'm not going to claim it. I did actually find it on Betfair's website. But of the last sort of 9-10 winners, after the first 2 days, the winner of this competition has been ranked 3rd or above. There's only 1 year that hasn't happened, and it was in 2013. Martin Laird at the time was 15th on the leaderboard. But every other year, Jordan Spieth after the first 2 days last year was 2nd. Corey Connors was 2nd the year before. 2019. We obviously didn't have it here in 2020. Andrew Landry was 3rd. Kevin Chappell was 3rd. Charlie Hoffman was 2nd. So if you're going placing any bets, have a look on that leaderboard after the first 2 days. Who is around that sort of top 3, top 5? That might be where your winner comes from. It's interesting that it's a stat that in the last sort of 10 years, there's only been one outlier in that.
It is also worth noting that this event has only been played at this time of the year twice in the last 2 years. Before that, it used to move around the schedule quite a bit. They used to play it later on in the summer, earlier in the year. So the course has played very different. So I don't know how much you want to take into previous course history here. Again, Texans do just play well in Texas. It's just a thing in golf. You look at Charlie Hoffman's record here. We're going to get into the golfers in a minute, but if you look at Charlie Hoffman's record here, he's been runner-up like 3 times. I believe he's won it once, and I think he's had like 5 top 10s here. So a native Texan, this is his home course. Jordan Spieth loves the place. There's just certain golfers that love this place. Just something worth noting, but I don't know if I'm taking too much course history into consideration this week, just because this event's been moved around so much in the last 10 years on the schedule. Average winning score around here over the last 10 years as well is 13 under. So I think we're going to probably get a cut mark around the level par 1 over to start with, and then you'll see some low scores. If the wind gets up, it's not projected to at the minute. I did look into that again earlier. If the wind does get up, though, this course plays a lot harder, much like the Corrales last week. Let's get the contests up then. So at the top there, we have Mr. Rory McIlroy at 22.3 million. This is first time playing this event since 2014, which I found quite interesting when I looked at it the other day. Hideki Matsuyama at 21.8 million. Interesting that he's in the field, obviously coming off that injury. Jordan Spieth, 21.2 million. Bryson DeChambeau at 20.5 million. And rounding out the £20 million mark is Abraham Answer at 20.5 million. Nick, who do you like within that £20 million mark this week?
Yeah, for me this week, Rory and Hideki are probably the two that are coming out highest in my model. They both rank high in strokes gained on their approach, which, as we said, is a key stat we're looking at. Both rank high in birdies or better, especially Hideki in that regard, who also ranks top 20 in his par 5 strokes gained as well, and around the greens. So I think Hideki, actually, of the two, is the one that's ticking the most boxes for me. My only concern, like you said, Jack, is how the back is after that very, very late withdrawal at the it was at Arnold Palmer, wasn't it? Or was it? No, it was the Players, wasn't it? Where he pulled out. Yeah, where he pulled out right at the last minute. That would be my only hesitation there. Bermuda is actually his worst putting surface as well. Obviously, these are Bermuda greens, but his putting out hasn't been too bad this season. We've mentioned it a couple of times where we'd said we'd not expect him to do well. He goes out, he puts well at the Sony Open, putted quite well at the Phoenix Open as well. So it's been an area of his game where he has struggled in the last sort of 6 to 12 months, but actually recently he has looked a lot better with the flat stick. So definitely in my thoughts, it is just the back is a concern, but he's not played since the Players. So maybe it was just a little bit of a twinge that he felt. I don't know. Maybe it was a muscle-related injury. We'll see. But certainly on the model, him and Rory are the two that are coming out at the top for me this week.
Mark?
Yeah, for me, Rory and Abe Answer. I mean, Rory just looks great in all facets at the moment. Apart from his putting last 2 weeks, which is kind of a little bit of an outlier. But yeah, he just looks great, and that's why he's the most expensive player. I do like Abe Answer though. He's just seems to be coming to good form. Also, I think things to bear in mind with this course is everybody will be hitting three shots to get to the greens on the par 5s, generally speaking. And then, so that kind of just plays into Abe Answer's iron play and stuff. So I just think he looks good. I think he's going to be up there. I think, I think if I was going to bet somebody to win it, it'd probably be him as well. For the odds, with the value of the odds.
Yeah. I'm with both of you, really. I think I will have some interest in Jordan Spieth just because of the history here. Bryson DeChambeau has actually got good course history here, plays this course pretty well. Sets up quite nicely for him. But again, though, you have to worry with injury with Bryson. Looked okay at the WGC last week, but did end up getting taken down by Richard Bland, which was
well, the mighty Richard Bland.
Oh, it's a great story, Richard Bland. And I believe he's in this field this week, so I'm hoping he wins it and gets his ticket to the Masters. Also, didn't state that at the start of this. If the winner here is not in the Masters field already, they will get into the Masters.
And that doesn't extend either. So if, for example, the likes of McIlroy wins and someone comes in second who's not in the Masters, it doesn't drop down.
Yeah. Let's move down the list here. Corey Connors, he's the reigning champion here. He's at 19.6 million. Jordan Spieth is the reigning champion. Corey Connors won it the year before at 19.6 million. Woo Kim is at, didn't do my little, yeah, here we go, 19.2 million. Chris, he's done me there. Chris Kirk at 18.9 million.
Nick, did you see the concentration on Nick's face, Jack?
I was like, it's got to go right this week. It has to go right. If I press this button and it doesn't play, I might log off.
That was the most important moment of Nick's life. More important than the birth of his first child. That was it. And anybody who's watching this has witnessed that. We should feel honoured.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, absolutely.
I just hope Ric Flair doesn't come and sue us. But
He's watching with Austin Smotherman's mum.
Yeah, he's too busy wheeling and dealing.
The limousine riding, jet flying.
Yeah.
We've got Maverick Manini there at 18.9 million, Gary Woodland at 18.6 million, Tony Finau 18.4 million, and Keegan Bradley at 18.2 million, and Jason Day rounding out the 18 millions there at 18 million dead on. Who do we like out of that group, gentlemen? Corey Connors, for me, with the history here, seems to have picked up a little bit of form. I know we've sort of rostered him in our season-long team. I've rostered him in most. Come 26th at the Players there. You've got the 11th at the Arnold Palmer Invitational. He seems to have found a little bit of form now going into Augusta, which I think is quite nice to see. Anyone else tickle your fancy, gentlemen?
I'm a big fan of Chris Kirk and Mav McNeely up there. Chris Kirk's actually number 1 in my core suitability ranking, so
he is in mine as well, Mike. That's why I'm rubbing that. He's number 1 on my model, worryingly. And
he had, forgetting the Players miscut, which we
don't care.
He had 2 top 10 finishes. He was 6th here last year. The rest of his stats, they all just align, really, don't they? Yeah. And Mav McNeely, I think he's a very good driver. He's got the ability to pop with his approach play, and he's one of the best putters. And he actually played pretty well last week. The match play, didn't lose a match in his group.
No.
So yeah, those are 2. I think those 2 make a nice start to a lineup, to be honest.
Yeah, it's Chris Kirk for me as well. He is number 1 on my model. I'm not too sure why, and it is a little bit worrying. But yeah, he is number 1 on my model this week. It's when I look across the board, he's actually ranked very highly in all of my important stats that I've highlighted this week. He's got some good course history, albeit when he does make the cut. In the last 5 years, he has missed the cut twice, but when he does make the cut, 3 top 20 finishes here. Players' Championship was actually the first time that he'd lost strokes around the green since about August of last year, which is another one of my key stats in this. He's putted quite well recently, not at the Players, but when he played Arnold Palmer, the Honda and Phoenix Open, he was really good with his putter. So yeah, Chris Kirk, I can't ignore him this week. I suspect he'll probably be quite highly owned, but it doesn't put me off, to be honest. I think you can play players in this we've seen in previous weeks where even when the ownership's good, you've still got to get as many through the cut line as possible. So roster construction throughout the rest of your team is vitally important. If you do have someone that's highly owned, it's not the end of the world.
No interest in Siwoo Kim, who loves Pete Dye golf courses.
No, he's not come up in my research at all. It's 20th in my mind.
Loves Pete Dye golf courses.
Yeah. They're not feeling it. Like you, Nick, but I'm not.
No,
he's registered with me.
No, he hadn't with me either, to be fair, but a little bit. I'm just doing a bit of a deeper dive on his stats now, and he has been really good approach-wise. He's been good off the tee consistently since the start of the year. His tee to green is also very good. So I probably will have some exposure to him. Yeah, he wasn't really on my radar prior to you saying that, Jack, to be honest. I was just more looking forward to doing the little soundbite when you said his name more than anything. I think that's clouded any potential research I might have done on Siwoo Kim this week.
Let's round out page 1 then. So we've got Adam Hadwin down there at 17.8 million, Jonathan Vegas at 17.4 million, Kevin Strowman at 17.2 million, and Luke List 17 million.
Get me back there,
Nick. Where are we going here, or do I even have to ask?
Adam Hadwin, actually, first of all, it ranked 6th in my model last 24 rounds, strokes gained on approach, and first in sand saves as well. Consistently a very good putter, which unfortunately Luke List is not, but I can't. Once again, I can't ignore Luke. He is just, everything pops across the board other than the usual putting for Luke List. Like, again, the vital stats, he does tick boxes for me. 3rd strokes gained on approach, 6th strokes gained around the green. He ranks high in good drives gained, and on strokes gained on par 5s as well. He just has to be average with his putter. That's all I'm asking. Just just above below average, I would take. I don't even want average.
3 missed cuts, and he did withdraw from the Players' Championship as well.
Oh, I mean, he's in terms of course history here, his course history is not good. Like, I get that, but I'm happy to get burned by him again this week. Yeah, get him in. Do you know what? I saw Pat Mayo mention him. If he's good enough for Pat Mayo this week, he's good enough for me. So
okay,
yeah, I'm going back to the well. I'm going to get burned again. Give me some Luke List again this week. Come on, Lukey boy.
There you go. That's what people think of your Luke List, Nick.
Yeah.
I'm for me, I haven't really got much interest in this area. Adam Hadwin's probably the one if I had to pick somebody from this region.
Yeah.
I mean, Vegas is in good form as well, and stuff played well last week. And I did have some notes about Strowman, but I think I've written down the wrong player because what I've written about him doesn't line up.
He was 7th at the Valspar, 22nd at the Players. He comes 16th at the Honda. Some good form. I don't mind a bit of Kevin Strowman this week. Again, I wouldn't mind going back to Vegas either. Just he played well at the Corrales last week. He was unlucky not to win it. He come 3rd. He come 4th. Sorry, at Crest. It's I think he finished on 15 under, and the winning score was 17 under there. So played well there. Played well at the Valspar. He obviously had the lead at day 1 at the Valspar. I don't mind going back to Vegas again.
Yeah, it's a good play.
Let's move on to page 2. And that's up with Davis Riley, Charlie Hoffman, Russell Knox, Mito Pereira, and Ryan Palmer. Patton Kaziri as well at the top there. This seems like a Kaziri track, and he does have good course history here.
Yeah, he's very high in my model. I don't know about yours, Nick, but he's 3rd in mine.
Yeah, he's not quite 3rd. He's 14th in mine, but yeah, I love Patton Kaziri this week. When you again a deeper dive on the stats, he's been really good around the greens, a little bit up and down with the putting, but you do expect that. But he has had some strong performances in recent tournaments, especially at the Players, which was tough to put on anyway because of the weather that we had over that event. He was tied 9th here last year as well, so you've got a bit of course history backing him up. And he's only lost strokes on approach at one event this year, which was the Farmers. He missed the cut there. So, yeah, Patton Kaziri I like Russell Knox as well this week. I think, again, we just keep riding Russell Knox till the wheels come off. My only reservation with him is Bermuda is comfortably his worst putting surface. But I think every time we talk about Russell Knox, I feel like we say the same. Not great putter. Loses strokes putting, but keeps finding ways to be competitive. So, yeah, Russell Knox. I think I'm happy to go back to that well again this week as well till he proves me wrong.
I feel the win needs to get up for Russell Knox though. You've got that 6th place finish there at the Players' Championship. He played well at the Players' Championship. Obviously got on the right side of the draw, but I feel like he's one of them players that plays better in the wind. Sounds silly, but if it does get up, then yeah, like he could make a run at this. But I'm not against playing him. He's made every cut bar 1 all season, which was at the American Express. So I'm not against playing Russell Knox this week. Is there any interest in Charlie Hoffman, Mark, with the record here, the history? But he is playing bad at the minute.
Yeah, my notes on him are amazing stats here, but he won't appear on any current stats model. That's kind of my notes about him. And
Oh, his
I
recent
feel-
form is atrocious, isn't it?
I know.
Yeah, I
but-
mean, we've had withdrawals, haven't we, where he's been injured,
Yeah.
and where he's made 2 cuts all year. One was at the Phoenix and one was at the Genesis, and I mean, them performances there are nothing to shout home about. He was basically dead last in both fields. So after making the cut,
the other thing though, we've had this a little bit on other tournaments, whereas it's form versus course history, and generally speaking, course history has been winning this year.
yeah,
So that's the only thing that's got me doubting it. But if we're taking a stats model approach, as we tend to do, then he'd be nowhere near your lineups.
His last 2 times here have been phenomenal. In terms of
runner up
strokes
both
gained.
times, wasn't
Yeah, runner up both times. And yeah, I mean, his course history is fantastic, actually. But I think that's why he's not popped up on my model. He's actually 28th on my model, but he's like, when you look at his recent form, like we said, that would be probably enough to scare you off. If you were looking at this over the last 12 rounds, I suspect he'd be way down if I was looking at 12 rounds, but I'm looking at this as 24 rounds.
I got him 64th using a 16-round model.
I'm just looking at Davis Riley there at the top. He's 16.8 million. Comes second at the Valspar. Any interested in there, Mark?
No. Mito Pereira definitely again comes up high in my model. He seems to come up every week in my model. I don't know why. He's just been playing well, and I'll definitely have some exposure to.
Obviously Ryan Palmer there as well. Seems to be in a bit of a downward trend since we've. I mean, we was on him very much at the start of the season, wasn't we? And then it seems to have found a bit of bad form at the wrong time, really, for him. Let's move down this list. We've got Bobby Mack there, Robert McIntyre, Ryan Højgaard, Saif Figala, Matt Kuchar, Ricky Fowler, Doug Gim, Ian Poulter. I'll round out the page. KH Lee, Lanto Griffin, Brandon Steele, and Martin Laird. Nick, anyone take your fancy there?
Yeah, I like Doug Gim. Actually ranks first on strokes gained on par 5s, which caught my eye. And he's ranks 4th on my model as well. Strokes gained approach over the last 24 rounds. Martin Laird, again, another very good approach player. Good course history here as well. He's made the cut on the last 5 visits to the Valero. I think he's only missed the cut once when he's played here as well. Gained strokes in almost every major category other than the year that he did miss the cut, unsurprisingly. So Martin Laird is another one. Matt Kuchar's actually coming up quite high on my model, and I'm going to have to look into that a little bit further. Yeah, I know.
Needs to win to get into the Masters.
He's ranked 15th on my model. I'm going to have to do a bit of a dive there. He's, great putter, but up until the Valspar, I think he was struggling a bit, Matt Kuchar. So I have to do a little bit of a dive there as to why he's coming up as high as he is. But yeah, I think that's it. Doug Gim, Martin Laird. So he's got some good course history, actually, Kuchar, hasn't he, when you look back? But
he does, yeah. Well, yeah, like Kuchar, Ricky Fowler and Ian Poulter, both in the same position, need to win to get into the Masters. Mark, can you see it from either of them? Are they popping in your model, either of them?
No, I'm afraid. Martin Laird is an interesting one for me. Yeah. I think he's a classic DFS play, to be honest. Reason being is he's been great with his approach play. He's been positive in 11 out of his last 12 times. His putter's been terrible. However, he does have the ability to have a complete worldie as a putter. Like at the Waste Management, he gains 5 strokes putting just out of the blue. So in that respect, he's a classic DFS play. When he does well, you're going to do well. You're going to win well a lot out of it. So Brendan Steele is the other one I like down there, to be honest. It's Laird and Steele for me. Last 2 tournaments, he's had some amazing ball striking stats. Before that, he missed 5 cuts. So yeah, I think He's at this price because his putting usually lets him down. We have this every week once we get to this second page, the bottom of it, don't we? We're always talking about putting letting them down. But even if his putting improved a little bit, the way his ball strike is going, he could be pretty tough to beat out there. So yeah, I think at that price, good for your balanced lineups.
Yeah, definitely. Certainly, you could use him as an underdog. We proved that last week that you could use down the bottom of page 2 as an underdog with a lineup.
Martin Laird for me is the ultimate underdog play there, though, just because of just because of how he can be with his putter.
Let's go on to page 3, and then let's have a look here. So we've got Denny McCarthy, Lucas Glover, Troy Merritt, Nick Taylor, Charles Howell III, Scott Stallings, Chad Ramey, Richard Bland. There he is, 14.5 million. Get him in the lineups. I want that man to play Augusta National.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'd love that. Absolutely love that. Yeah, I think you've got to put him in at least a lineup, surely, for the story side of it this week. But he's been playing some good golf.
Week.
Been playing some good golf. Yeah.
He beat Bryson. He beat some of the. He was unlucky to lose against DJ. He beat some of the best golfers in the world last week at the match play. He shouldn't be written off. And
no,
can he win it? I don't know, but it's a great story. And I will have a lot of exposure to him this week.
Yeah, the thing with Richard Bland is we've not got the same access to stats because he's normally on the European tour rather than the PGA. So, but I think you can apply the eye test a little bit to Richard Bland, like you said, Jack. He's playing some good golf, so don't be scared of putting him in your lineups, even though the data isn't necessarily there or as accessible.
Mark, anyone? Take your fancy at the top of that page.
Not particularly. CH3 is pretty good in my model. He's his top 10 in there. But yeah, other than that, I've actually got more interesting players a bit cheaper than this. I think I'm going to naturally be leaning towards Stars and Scrubs lineups this week.
I can firmly say that I will have a bit of exposure to Richard Bland this week, just like Nick says. You can look at the stats, and the stats are great, but sometimes it needs to be the eye test, and I've been impressed with what I've seen. Let's move down the page. We've got Dylan Fratelli, CT Pan, Pat Perez, Brian Stewart. There we go. There's a name I'm going to butcher there. I'm not even going to say it. Kanaya. There we go. Crane.
That's a good effort to me, Jack.
Do you want to do this one, Nick?
Oh, go on, yeah. I think it's Kramer, and I think it's pronounced Hickok. Yeah, Kramer Highcock making his comeback once again.
Matt Neesmith, Alex Spaldy, and Matt Jones round off page 3. Mark, you said you got some guys down the bottom here that you like. Let us know, please.
Well, not on this page, even cheaper than this.
Oh,
I'd say. So I think, I think Alex Morley finished off pretty well last week. He got a really good 4th round. I know that because he was in my showdown team.
Yeah, we came second last week.
Yeah. I don't think there's anybody who's particularly popping for me down in that range.
What's Matt Jones been doing? I haven't seen much of Matt Jones. Player sort of played well in the full season toward the back end of last year. Yeah, no, not been doing particularly well this year. Hickok, we're going to go back there?
Not for me.
He's actually 20. It's actually 21st on my model, actually.
Yeah, I don't mind Hickok down there. Nick, anyone?
Yeah, and CT Pan ranked quite high on a couple of my key stats, like around the green and on approach, but his course history does put me off quite a bit. Pat Perez, I think, he's been very consistent with his putting this year, which is a stat we always say is quite volatile. The fact that his has remained consistent, can't ignore that. Matt Neesmith, I think, as well, comes into this with quite a bit of confidence. I think it's fair to say he came 3rd at Valspar, and I've no doubt we'll look to build on that as well.
Yep.
It ranks 9th in strokes gained on approach. So yeah, Matt Neesmith, I don't mind down here as well.
No, I actually like the bottom of this page. I've exposure to most of those guys down there.
I think I like the bottom of this more than the top, much more than the top, I think.
Agreed. Yeah, definitely. Let's move on to page 4. We won't run through the whole lot now. We're just because we're getting on and we want to build a team or two. Mark, you said you got some guys that you like. I mean, there's some big guys on. You've got Cameron Champ down here, Lee Westwood. There's some big names down here on on page 4.
Very big name down near the bottom.
Yeah, for me though, Matthias Schwab is at the top there.
Oh, you're going with my boy.
Yeah, he's basically on every measured round. He hasn't been playing all tournaments where they measure every, all of the stats. But he's gained strokes on approach this year in every measured round he's had, and he's also finished T7 in 2 of his last 3 starts. And at that price, you can't really ask for much more. Do you want me to make the case for Austin Smotherman, because I do have one?
Make the case, and I'm not listening, but you can make the case.
Okay. He's on all my stats. He's 11th in weighted stroke gains approach in last 16 rounds, 2nd in ball striking. He's 11th in my course suitability rankings. So I would say the stats are there because of all. He was over 20% owned last week, so he's obviously getting tipped lots of places. I would just say, because he's a young player starting out on a PJ Tour, he's probably going to be more volatile than he shows in a stats model, is what I would say about him. That's really it. But again, stats-wise, he pops again for me.
Nick, anyone that you like? 2-glove Rye? Is he piquing your interest?
2-glove iron head covers. No, he isn't. Adam Svensson, surprisingly. I think it has to be. He doesn't rank very well in terms of his around the greens play. So I think if this is going to be a good week for Adam Svensson, I think it needs to be a good, strong greens in regulation event for him. That said, he is actually quite consistent in that area. So his greens in regulation is at 71.7%. And actually in the last 24 rounds, he's 6th in the field in greens in regulation as well. So, and the stats that he does rank well in are in his approach and his par 5 and birdie or better, which again are scoring stats. So Adam Svensson, Brandon Grace, but only purely for his course history. Nothing else jumps out at me. It's purely course history based that I mentioned him.
Yes, he is not playing well this year at all, is he?
He's not. No, he's not. But we've seen, again, with course history, sometimes certain golfers just play really well at certain courses and do come alive at certain courses. The only other one I had on this list, I think, was Sam Ryder. I've literally just wrote his name down and not much else. So I'm not too sure why, but something clearly popped for me when I wrote his name down. So I'll just throw it out there. Sam Ryder.
He's been making a lot of cuts this year. So yeah, he's not a bad shout down there, Nick. Do you want to go to page 5 and did anyone want to go any lower than that, or?
I've got Doc Redmond on my list as somebody who's I think for his value for money, I think he's okay. His approach has been decent this year. His putting's been good. You know, you're going to get everything when they're down this price. So I think he'd be.
JJ Spawn is one that, again, he's comes out top 20 in my model. I have to do a deep dive on JJ Spawn, I think, at that price. But
27th at the Valspar.
Yeah, we've got a quick question here by Dan, by the way. How does Nate Lashley turn up on your stats? I'm just checking them down. I'm still scrolling.
Mark, what about Hank the Tank? He's in this field here.
Yeah, now he turned up somewhere.
Yeah, but he turned up at the Corrales last week.
Yeah. He was actually 12th in my model, Hank. Nate Lashley is like in the 80s for me, Dan. I don't know about Nick, but
he's 95th for me.
So, Dan, if you know something we don't know about it, please let us know.
Yeah, two missed cuts at the Valero as well.
But yeah, Hank is turned up at he's 12th my model.
I'll let you know later, Dan. All right, don't worry. So Hank the Tank's 12th in your model, Mark.
Yeah.
You got some he goes down there. Just guys that we've been using this year. He goes Swafford's down here as well. Zach Johnson, he's got good form here before.
I'm not sure he's going to be that motivated on these tournaments now.
Oh no! I'm just saying that there is guys. I don't think I'd want to go past that page though, because I've just gone to page 6 and I do.
Well, you've got Ben Martin there.
No, let's build a team.
Okay.
So should we build a?
How dare I say Ben Martin?
Yeah.
Should we build a sort of stars and scrubs team? Should we chuck Rory in?
Yeah. Throw Rory in. Yeah.
Yeah, we've got to see what we can do with the Rory lineup.
Should we try and get another one of these top ones in, and then go down and get an underdog before? We all liked Hansen, didn't we?
Me and Nick both had Kirk as our number 1.
Okay.
Didn't we?
Yeah, so we can put Kirk in. Let's head down, and then maybe if we go, should we put Laird in? Martin Laird, because we all like Martin Laird, didn't we?
Yeah.
What does that leave us with? So 3 players left. So we've got 43.8 million.
So 14
which gives us 14.6, but yeah.
So let's go on to page 3. Try and save a bit of money.
I think this is you with what you've got at the bottom of this page. I think you could potentially take someone off page 4, someone off the bottom of page 3, and maybe work back up to page 2. Or
that's what I was. Should we go to page 4 then? Take a look, try and get someone. We're not putting Smotherman in.
Schwab, I think he's a great player this week.
All right.
Yeah, throw Schwab in.
Yeah, we'll put Schwab in. I'm not against that. Let's head back to page 3. What have we got left? We've got 29.8 million left. Let's head down to the bottom. Neesmith?
You two both had Neesmith, didn't you?
Yeah, I like Neesmith, yeah.
Okay, let's get Neesmith in. And then that leaves us with 15.5 million. So we can go back to page 2. And it would leave us with Kuchar. I don't really like where that's left us.
I mean, for me, I'd play Steele, but I think I was the only one who had him in their list.
I don't mind that. I'd rather play him or Lanto. I've got no interest in Ricky Fowler or Matt Kuchar.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily be against throwing Steele in there, or even Poulter. I'm not against Poulter either.
I'd rather play Poulter over. If you're going to play a veteran there, I'd rather play Poulter over Kuchar and Ricky Fowler, personally. So who would you captain in that? Rory?
Yeah, well, I think you do Rory and Kirk in that lineup.
Yeah. Should we build? I know we wanted to try and do a Martin Laird underdog. Should we try and do that one?
Yeah.
Yep.
So let's get him in first, and then where do we want to go from here? So we've got 85 million left.
I think we throw in Pat and Kaziri on this page.
Mark?
Yeah, agree, definitely.
Pat and Kaziri. We're going to have to get a couple off this page anyway, aren't we? And then
yeah,
that's page one. Yeah.
Mito or Knox, Russell Knox. We all like Russell Knox, don't we?
Yeah. Now you've got over 17 million
per player.
Yeah, per player.
So you've got 52.4 million left. Let's head back to page 1. Oh no, I'm not doing that.
Put him in. Get him in.
No, you could put a Vegas in there. Or Strowman, he take turning up.
unless we head up a bit and then try and pay down a little bit more on page 2.
Yeah,
Maybe a
page
Chris,
2,
maybe a Chris Kirk.
Is
Who are you
that
gonna pay
doable?
for?
That would have to be quite a big pay down, I think. That.
Let's have a look. See what that does.
Need a fourth one off that for
33.5 million.
Leaves us
16.7, 16.8.
So we can do it.
Yeah, it's doable then, isn't it? So if we put Kirk in,
Mito or Ryan Palmer? I think I'd rather pay Mito actually.
yeah. Put Mito in,
That leaves us 17.2.
and then it's basically anyone.
It says
It leaves
Strowman,
us with Luke List, doesn't it?
Yeah, put him in. Get him in the lineup.
I do not want to put him in this lineup, and neither does Mark.
I'm intrigued as to where he comes out on your model, Mark. Tell me where the list is.
He's 18th.
I would rather play Strowman, but Mark, you have to decide and vote.
No, let's go for Luke List, and he's 18th.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Oh no, Mark! What are you doing to me? I don't condone this.
You have to put this in as well, don't you, Jack?
You do. These are the pod rules now. We all put this lineup in,
No.
and we captain Luke List.
By the way,
No.
If you hate it that much, Jack.
Yeah.
If you get rid of Chris Kirk, you put in Vegas. Oh, you can have Vegas and Hadwin instead.
I would just play Kevin Strowman over Luke List. There's no need to take Kirk out of that lineup. I would just literally play Kevin Strowman over Luke List. Who would you captain in that? Don't say Luke List.
It's got to be Kirk in that one.
Got to be Kirk. Yeah, I will go with Kirk.
So, for the record, everyone on the stream and listening to the podcast, I will not be entering this lineup. Actually, I will, but I'll be removing Luke List and I'll be replacing him with Kevin Strowman.
You know, when you look at this lineup, there's so much risk in it. You've got like Kazir, Laird, and List.
Yeah, I know.
Which is so much risk, but so much upside.
Do we want to build one more before we get out of Dodge?
I think one last one with like a bit of a balance throughout, maybe.
I thought that's what that was.
Well, when I say balance, I mean dropping a little bit further down than page 2, maybe going as low as page 3, but no lower.
Should we have a Corey Connors lineup? Maybe.
Yeah, could do.
Yeah.
Who's Connors. Who's going to be our underdog though in page 3?
Let's go to page 3.
I think Charles Howell is the highest ranked player I've got on page 3. I haven't got much love for anyone.
Should we go with? Should we do a Richard Bland underdog?
Yes. He's on page 3, isn't he?
Yeah,
he is. Yeah.
Let's do the Richard Bland underdog. So that would leave us with 65.9 million before 4 players. So
16.4.
You could put Charles Howell in this one as well, and then maybe you save a little bit of money then, don't you? And we can start paying up a little bit more. And it's still quite balanced as well then, I think.
Yeah. That gives you 17 per player. But you don't end up at the bottom of page 1 again, do you?
Well, you just put Kevin Strowman in, don't you? So let's just do that for the bit. I'm not playing Luke List again. Russell Knox seems like a safe play to me. No?
So if we go Russell Knox, that gives us 34.6, which gives us 17.3. So we could go Russell Knox.
Come back down on page 2 and try and get up a bit more on page 1.
We could
Martin Laird.
We could throw in Martin Laird, yeah. Which lets us go all the way up to either Siwoo, Chris Kirk, McNeely's getting a lot of love this week. Gary Woodland, even maybe.
I think for this build, as you wanted balance, I think I'd rather just play Chris Kirk in it again, and I think you've got a really balanced lineup then.
Yep.
With Connors as captain.
Yeah, with I'd probably enter it twice with Connors and Kirk.
And Kirk, yeah.
I quite like that lineup as a balance. as a balance build.
Yeah, I wonder, you can bring up Bland up to 15.2 if you want to.
No, I like Rich Bland.
Okay. Fine.
Let's have a look. Let's have a look.
If you were keeping Richard Bland as the underdog, you could bring Howell up to. Howell up to anyone on the bottom of page 2.
Yeah, see, I don't like the bottom of that area there. But I'd rather play Richard Bland over Ian Poulter. It sounds silly, but
yeah, I think maybe you had it right in the first place. I think the first version was probably as good as any.
So that's our builds this week. As I said before we started tonight, we are 1 week away from the first major of the year, golf's first major, Augusta National Golf Club, the Masters. Don't forget to enter the FanTeam satellites this week to win Masters monster tickets. It's going to be a big week next week, gentlemen.
Absolutely,
it is. We got surprise for people as well, haven't we? Next week.
We do. Yes. So next week we will be joined by a guest. I won't reveal the guest, and we'll do a little reveal on Twitter. But we will be having a guest on with us next week as well. So to preview the Masters, which is going to be good fun. Mark.
Yeah.
Anything else to add for this week before we sign off?
I'm going to give away who it is next week. Tiger Woods is on the show next week, so make sure you tune in.
Yeah, Jack can't wait. Live from Augusta National because he's going to play.
I don't think Jack will be able to speak. Do you reckon, Nick?
It'll be like the episode where his internet was bugging out at that time.
Nick, sign us off, please.
Yeah. Mark's line, it won't be Tiger Woods next week. It will actually be Luke List on the show next week. So, no, you can't wait for that.
Jack would just be rude to him.
He's coming on and he's hosting.
He's never asked Jack
a question. He'll never ask Jack a question.
He's in the Masters field. So good luck to him putting on those greens next week. I'll tell you that now.
Yeah. Sign us off for this week. What do we go with this week? Good drivers. Good drivers for sure this week, I think. But irons for Doe again.
Thank you, guys.